Been in the office all day today. It's 3:50. I started off, I got up, I was getting some video files kind of set up, trying to get edited. And then I came in, probably got here around 9. And I've just been in here in meetings and calls all day. I'm not trying to sound important or anything, I'm not. I'm really just complaining because being on the phone and sending emails all day long, it's not what I want to do. It matters, it's important, but sometimes it feels just very going in a circle. I don't know, on a hamster wheel, maybe that's, if that's what you do all the time. I'm not hating on it at all. I'm sure you do very productive work, but for me, I get tired of it. Anyway, I just was like, I'm gonna get out. I'm going to the store right now to get some bananas, and I'm gonna take them up to my lab, and I have not tested out my freeze dryer in the lab. I've tested it out my old lab, but I haven't tested it out in a few months, so I just wanted to do something. I just wanted to get out of the office and do something. So I think what I'm gonna do is get some bananas, and I'm probably will freeze dry the bananas, but really what I'm thinking about doing is getting some green bananas and yellow bananas, taking the peel off, and freeze drying the green excuse me, I cannot shake this cough. Freeze drying the green peel and freeze drying a regular yellow peel and the banana as well, and then maybe doing like a fiber test on them. Maybe not a fiber test, it's really expensive to test fiber. Not even really sure how they do it, but what I could do is inoculate the freeze-dried portion of those peels and look at microbial activity over the course of, I don't know. Well, I don't really need to do it over the course of a few days. I could just do it over like 2 days. A 24-hour period. I just want to see what plate count looks like on. Sorry. I like to see what plate count looks like between green banana peel and yellow. And maybe do all 3 or all 4, like a green banana, a yellow banana, green banana peel, and a yellow banana peel. Just look at plate count. I want to see where microbes, where bacteria, where they flourish the most. I think it will give a good sense of the prebiotic potential of a banana. Maybe not perfect, but maybe a little bit. And I know it sounds simple, just starting the freezer up and get it going. I don't know that I'll even be able to get to that. I'm gonna go get the banana. That's right. The thing is though, with the green banana, you kind of have to get going on it right away because it's not gonna be green for long. It'll turn yellow pretty soon, so your timing on that's pretty limited. If I put it in the freezer though, will it halt it? Matter, I don't have a freezer, so it's kind of now or never. What might end up happening is I might just buy these bananas, like two bananas. I don't want to buy a bunch and waste them. And if I can't get the freeze dryer going today, I'll just eat the bananas. It's like Mitch Hedberg has this joke that escalators can never be out of service. They can only temporarily be stairs. Thank you for the convenience. If the bananas don't get it in the freezer, I'll just eat them. Who cares? So I'm gonna go to the store and get the bananas and head to the lab, see if we can get the freeze dryer up and running. At least test the vacuum on it. I have this vacuum oil in my truck. It's a specialty Navac. The freeze dryer pump is a Navac NRD 4. I don't know for sure. And I put this new oil in the pump like 6-7 months ago, and a lot of times that oil, it gets finicky. Even I haven't used the pump at all for freeze drying, but it's like, you know, if your oil's changed color, it might be donezo. And so look on the Navac, the label, and there's because it's specialty vacuum pump oil. I call up Navac. I called them up. At first I called them and it was one of the Verizon messages. This number is out of service. And that's always a little scary. Like, you know, someone gives you a number and You get the old ding, like, this Verizon customer is not a customer. Or that doesn't make sense. This customer isn't a customer. The person you're trying to call, you know, maybe their number is disconnected. That's, if someone gives you their number and you call it, especially if you're maybe going to do business with them, or, you know, you're trying to figure something out with them, long term, medium term, and you get that signal, the Verizon, or I don't know what AT&T is, I have Verizon, but whatever that complimentary message is that says no one is here and no one will ever be here for the foreseeable future. It's like going to a website and there's no domain for it. That's not a good sign. But in this case, I had the number wrong. Anyway, I called up Navac, and the guy that answers technical support couldn't be nicer. He's like, you need a micron gauge to test your pump. He's like, do you have a micron gauge? I'm like, no, I don't have one. But that sounds like an amazing tool. That's another thing. Engineers, they're always coming up with these great tools to make your life easier. And this guy's offered me, he's like, you get a micron gauge. And he says, you just put it in one of your ports, one of your inlet ports on your vacuum pump, or its outlet, I guess. Is the air going? Yeah, air going out. And he says, if it gets to under 200 micron in less than a minute, your oil's good. He said, if it takes 5 minutes or more, then probably need new oil. I said, can I just use the freeze dryer? And he goes, yeah, sure. First, he tells me that, he's like, do you have an NRD 6 VD? Or not VD? DL? I can't remember. And I was like, I don't think so. He's like, because we make pumps specifically for freeze dryers. And I was like, well, I bought this freeze dryer from a company that sells really high-end refurbished lab equipment. And I said, they only use Navac, and so I'm pretty sure that they would have given me the pump they sent the freeze dryer with would have been a freeze dryer pump. And he goes, well, is it cordless? I said, no. I said, well, how would you even use it? He goes, oh, we make them that have batteries. I said, what? They make these high-end vacuum pumps that are battery operated. They only last for 45 minutes. But they do. He said, no, yours is a cord. It's definitely for a freeze dryer. He said, well, yeah, you use the freeze dryer. Test it that way. It's not the best way, but you go under 200 microns in about 2 minutes. You got a much larger chamber to evacuate, then yeah, you can feel pretty good about what you've got in your oil. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to use the freeze dryer to test it. I can't remember even. It's been a while since I've tested out that freeze dryer. I can't quite remember. I don't even remember how to start it up. Or not start it up, but test out the vacuum on it. Anyway, so I'm gonna do that. I've got my oil back here. I might have to change it out. And like I said, I was gonna get some bananas and check that out. And so that's gonna be kind of the rest of the day, I think. I had a call with Allfill before now, and they have the tooling capable of taking the all-fill and pneumatically dropping it via solenoid valve into a bag. So if we can get a bag opener that can open those bags wide enough with proper suction cups, we can get the tooling from all-fill to fill into the bag, which will be really nice, and I think we can. The unfortunate thing is a lot of these bag openers, there's not very many made in the US. I think I found the one and only made in the US. What else? Had a call today with for a second I thought the road was closed. I had a call today with a guy that works in bioengineering, biological processes, and together we are going to work on, I think, building a bioreactor system in my lab. But essentially, I'm going to start looking at controlled fermentation for bacteria, maybe possibly some molds. I don't know. This is I'm way out of my wheelhouse on here, so I don't know yet. Maybe some enzyme production, which that's going to be via fermentation as well. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have some ideas. I've got the concept of some ideas, the beginning of some ideas. And anyway, I think we're going to work together on maybe getting something set up. Bioreactor systems, pilot systems are extremely expensive. And so I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to quote you on what I've been, or tell you on some of what I've been quoted, but I can tell you they are very high priced. And so I'm looking at more of a budget DIY one, which will be maybe a little more fun to do. Because it can be done, but a lot of people don't want that. They just want something out of the box to be ready to go. And yeah, well, I'm going to work on that over the next couple weeks, maybe piecing together something, and that will be good, I guess. Don't know that I'm going to be out at the cave. I've been out there once this week. I don't know that I'm going to be out there tomorrow. Having some good traction on Amazon. I think we've had a couple sales today, so that's a good start. New product in development, which is extremely exciting. Very excited about this new product. Well, I'm not going to reveal much on that yet because there's a long way to go, but it's getting started today. And yeah, that's kind of the update. I don't think I have much more to add. Well, I mean, I do, and then when I get to the lab, we'll put it on POV, and at least maybe you can see me getting the freeze dryer up and running. But anyway, I just got to the store, and I'm about to sling this thing over my neck and go in there and start talking to myself as I buy bananas. Just not today. Right, so maybe I'll turn this back on when I get back in the car to the lab. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just see you at the lab. But anyway, see you in a few minutes. Well, if you want to look weird, you don't look a little strange, that's your goal, go into a grocery store and walk out of there with a single green banana and a yellow banana in both hands. Mission accomplished. You'll look weird. I didn't quite fully estimate that. I underestimated how weird that would look until I was walking in there, on my way in there, realizing that I wasn't gonna have a shopping cart. I wasn't buying if I bought one thing of bananas, that would be one thing. But no, I'm gonna go to the section, because there's two sections in the store. There's one where there's kind of like the ready-to-go yellow bananas. You're wanting to eat them that day, and then there's one for, you're gonna let these sit on the counter for 3 or 4 days. They're separated. And I go to both and get one from each, one yellow banana, and then walk to the produce section and grab a green banana. It's much easier to be aware of people looking at you when you're doing that sort of thing. It probably actually would have been better if I walked in with the GoPro on, because then people are like, okay, this is a bit. But without the GoPro, people are like, man, this guy is weird. What is he doing? I walked through I think it was the soup aisle, and I passed by this old woman, and maybe she was looking at the aisle to see what she could find, but it seemed like she was looking at what I was holding and thinking, with a kind of a perplexed look on her face, like, okay, you know, each their own kind of thing, weird. Then I get to the checkout, and I'm at the self-checkout. Of course, I accidentally, you know, when weighing the produce, the bananas, I hit squash, yellow squash. They look the same in the picture. They look similar. Although when you're trying to get out of there as quickly as you can, you don't really pay as close attention to those as you probably should. And the thing is, in my grocery store, with my self-checkout, if you put the wrong items in your cart and then delete them, it doesn't believe you. It says, oh, really? Let's get our assistant to come and help you, because you clearly don't know what you're doing. You already put the wrong items in your cart. So this kid, college kid, high school kid comes up and like, he doesn't even say anything. He just looks at me like, I got it. The thing is, this isn't even that green of a banana. It's not even that green. It's, at this point, it's pretty yellow. So this is not a gold standard experiment that we're doing here. This is just me wanting to get out of the office and mess around. So I guess I shouldn't have set my hopes too high. But then again, you know, a lot of the world's best inventions and discoveries were accidental. So maybe, you know, maybe something accidental happens today off of not much of an experiment. Well, we'll see. It's like 4:22 right now, so I'm kind of up against it here when I'm thinking about kind of getting the freeze dryer up and running and all that. But, you know, maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll be able to test it out really quickly, and then I did bring some trays so I could throw them in there. If not, I don't know. I'll just show you turning the freeze dryer on and maybe eat one of the bananas. I don't know. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you earlier I forgot is I said I was sending emails on the phone a lot today. I was mostly on the phone, and I'm telling you, you forget this if you're doing knowledge work. I don't like saying knowledge work. I just don't know how else to put it. You're sitting at a desk having to type up work product, keep communications going. If you're doing that a lot, I don't know what else to call it besides knowledge work. And I believe me, I'm not against it in any way at all. I do it all the time myself. But if you're doing that, it can be easy to get into this, especially in certain industries like tech, software. It can be very easy, I feel like, to get into the habit of we're just going to get this all done through email. And, you know, I think sometimes that's okay. You've got big time zone differences, but I'm telling you, you can get so much done on a call. You can get like 8 emails done in a 5-minute call. And you can feel it too. You're like, oh man, why? I'm on this phone call. I've been on this phone for 5 minutes. Why didn't I just do this? Email was just supposed to be like quick little things. And it turned into like everything. But you still need to get on the phone. It's valuable. I'll tell you what though, you call someone up and they're not expecting it, it's almost like you showed up at their door, or you showed up at their house just unannounced, like, oh hey, what's up? Can you have sent these 3 questions and 2 observations to me in a 3-page email? Wouldn't that have been easier? I don't know. We're just not really primed for it anymore. I don't know. Well, I guess I'll check back in when I get to the lab. Maybe we'll go straight POV from there. I don't know that I have really anything else to add. I think I've given all the updates for today. And yeah, okay. Well, oh, also, let me just say this. I know it probably looks like I've been wearing the same shirt for the last 4 days. A little stain on the shirt that looks to be consistent with the last 4 days videos or whatever, but that's not, just because it looks like that way doesn't mean it is, okay? I wouldn't wear the same clothes day in, day out. Sometimes it feels like for weeks at a time, right? Don't assume that of me. All right, see you at the lab. Well, everything seems to be in order from the last time I was in here. Doesn't look like anyone has come in here and taken any sneaky peekies, so that's good. However, no one decided to come in and clean up after me. You know, no one did that, which, you know, I guess that would be maybe a wild thing. Some people break into, hey, we just broke in to clean up a little bit, and that was it. We didn't take anything. We just left the place better than we found it. Be a wild development, wouldn't it? Afraid that's not really the world we live in. Suppose there's some saints out there that might do something like that, but probably not many close to here. Okay, I am going to get the pump set up and get this unit plugged in right here. Remember the thermocouple from the other day? Get Omega. There's our Navac oil. Pick that out because we might be using it. Although I just realized I don't have any funnels. Don't have any funnels. So if I am using some new oil today, a mess shall be made. Okay, it's the little, wait a minute here. This is the oil mister right here, the oil mist filter. This, you've got oil that exhausts right here, and this is the filter for it. Basically it's trying to minimize the amount of, yep, that's an Navac 494. Minimize the amount of, what do you call it, pollutants in your environment. Little gasket right there. I think I've got the filter screen on there correctly, maybe not. Okay, Jimmy. When I first was testing this thing, I messed with it a ton because I was worried. One of the specs was the ability to hold a vacuum. I can't remember what it was, like, I think it was maybe like a certain level of micron or cooling for a certain amount of time. I don't remember. But I was reading it, I was looking at the specs, and then I was testing it, and it was not to par. So I called it the tech at, it was a Virtis tech. These are Virtis freeze dryers, and he was like, "Oh, look, you got nothing to worry about, you know? And these things happen." Which, you know, he made me feel better, but at the same time, I'm like, but this is also the spec. That was the spec, you know, that was what it's guaranteed towards, so what's the deal? You know, I could tell you more about it, I just don't remember. I don't remember what it was that I was testing out. I'd have to look and see. It might, when we turn it on here in a second, it might jog my memory, but this little guy right here is just a, it's just a filter. Well, I mean, it's a screen. It's basically to prevent any major contaminants from entering your pump. And I believe it's like this, but it also could be like this. I don't know that it matters too much. So I think though this way, because the idea is to get trapped in here. Yeah, let's do it like that. Let's do it like that for sure. Kind of trying to think through the way the air is pulled, and I think it makes the most sense to have the bottom of that screen in the pump, so all those things can just kind of build up in there. I don't know that it really matters a tremendous amount, but logically in my mind, this is the way that it should be. Okay, come on, buddy. I'm gonna have to turn this thing. These clamps right here, they're really nice, but man, they can be a massive pain. I have one over there for the freeze dryer, and I'm telling you, like, I don't know what happens over time, but I could not get this thing to seal on my freeze dryer. Sorry, I'm working on the freeze dryer now, but this was another similar clamp. There we go. This is a similar like clamp. I don't know what you call these, like I mean, that's a wing nut, but what the type of clamps that these are, like C clamps? No, they're not C clamps. I don't know. I've got a bunch of them over there for the spray dryer, and oh, gosh, this one I just could not get to seal. I couldn't, and I'll tell you what, you get an air leak on there, and on your spray dryer, and it's not as efficient. I mean, it's okay, but I didn't want to have to deal with it. You know, it's glass fittings, and so you got to be very careful not to crack the glass, which I've done before. I'll show you a piece I've cracked, and all these clamps. I had to buy some very specialized rods, these 3/8 inch rods that I could put in there for McMaster Car. I've yet to put those on there. I need to do it because, I mean, I guess I don't need to now. It's been long enough that I'm just gonna have to relearn exactly what the issue was at the time and do it. But anyway, just mentioning, I guess, that those little clamps can be a huge pain sometimes. Okay, that guy's on. All right, pump is good. So essentially the pump is plugged in and the freeze dryer is going to tell it, if it needs to be on or not. And it, I think almost always is going to be on when we're running. Pretty sure that I'm not missing anything here. My biggest fear running equipment is that I am gonna forget like a safety valve or something, forget to turn something on, turn something off, and then just ruin it forever. Most equipment now is they realize that us operators can be idiots, and so they build stuff in to make sure that doesn't happen. But still, it can happen. It happened with this spray dryer. I blew it up. I didn't blow it up. I'm exaggerating, but I did ruin it. I'll let the heating element get out of control, and I ruined it a bunch of times. Gosh, that thing, I fought with that thing for months. Oh, man. I'm just thinking about how bad all that was now. I was doing it all in my garage. Well, I thought I was crazy. Even later, she thought I was even more crazy. But yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to have to go through that. But at any rate, I think this is all good. I think we're good to plug this in. I think it's 20 amp. Should be okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, when I ordered this, when I got this first, I was so pumped to get it, and I saw the plug. When it came in, I was like, wait a minute. That's a really strange looking plug right there. That's flat. Where is that supposed to go? Well, I'll tell you this. It was not a 120 volt, 15 amp plug, that's for sure. And I was like, man, maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe it still is one, maybe it can be both 120 and maybe it could be both 120 and 240. You know, some appliances can run on both voltages. Nope, it's 208, 208 volt. That's all it can do. So I had it in my office, and I'm like, gosh, this is terrible. Had the electricians come out and see if they could get one in, and they really, like, I'm in this office space, and it was just a mess back there. So at first I thought they could, and then they basically had one option, and that was to put a plug in my, not my lab portion of the office, but the office portion of my office. And so I'm like, I can't have a freeze dryer here. I mean, like, this is where my computer and stuff is. I've already got a tremendous amount of junk in here. And they're like, yeah, well, that's all we can do for you. And so what I had to do is I had to run a cord through the wall, which you're not supposed to do. Definitely against code, but I mean, it's my own wall. It's just through a little sheetrock, and it's a very insulated cord. It's fine, but yeah, you know, sometimes you just got to make things work. They never would have done it. I couldn't have gotten them to do it, but we were all kind of thinking the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna turn this guy on. All right, let's see here. Wait, am I circuit off on here? Water heater, everything's on. NEMA 1450, lights, GFSI, 20 amp 240. Yeah. Okay. So let's turn this bad boy on. I think it might be back here, actually. I'm thinking the on switch is back here. Or down here, possibly. Yep, there it is. All right. What do you got for me? Little Mr. Virtis, little wizard. Man, these are sick freeze dryers. They are sick. First thing I think I want to do, I'm on manual mode here, and I can make all kinds of recipes. But I think, let's test the vacuum out first. I think. We plugged in? We might not, yep, we're not plugged in. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna turn this back off. Okay, where are you, buddy? Where you at? There you are. Make sure we're at 220 volt. This thing switches between 220 or 220 and 120. So let's see here. Right now we're on. You can't see it, but I can. Yeah, it's 230. We're okay. All right, we're fine. Yeah, that was silly, wasn't it? That was real silly of me. Man, that just slides right in. I feel like it's a little too loosey-goosey. All right, let's see what kind of vacuum we can get. We can control the vacuum, by the way. I'm just gonna look for an absolute vacuum. So we're trying to get below 200 micron. You know what, let me get my my phone here to time it. Also, I don't know what torr to micron is. Torr to micron. Okay, convert torr to micron. So we want 200. So that's 0.2 torr. We're hoping to get underneath 0.2 torr or less in 2 minutes. Okay. Let's go ahead and start this thing. Right. Well, we're not pulling any vacuum now. Oh, that's why. I had the door open. There we go. Gosh. Just looking so stupid right now. That'll help, you know? Sealing the door. I feel like I should start this thing over, you know? It's not fair. So, what's cool about this thing is in here I can freeze. I can freeze things, but out here I can still use the power of the vacuum without necessarily needing to have it frozen. So what I could do, hold on one second, make sure that's on there. That's a little solenoid valve right there. So what I could do is put some containers here with liquids or whatever, and I can basically evaporate water or whatever I want, whatever you want to separate off of there, just at room temperature, because you're gonna get such a deep vacuum that you're gonna pull off that water, you're gonna boil that water. I don't know if boiling is the right word, but you are going to evaporate water because you can get to such a low pressure on the vacuum. We're at 138 torr. I don't think we're gonna beat the minute mark or the 2 minute mark. We got a long ways to go. I forget what it was getting down to at one point. It seemed like it was like 2 torr maybe, or no, it had to be less than that. It was like point, I forget. That's 76.4, 56, 41, 23. We're quickly approaching sub-torr levels. Okay, now we're at millitorr. Yeah, I think we got down to like 14 millitorr. Okay, wait a minute. Alright, I got it. So millitorr. Okay, wait, torr to millitorr. What we want mtorr. I know what it is, it's 1,000, but I just want to make sure. Mtorr to micron. Okay, inventory micron. There we go. Okay. What did you say? 200? So 200 millitor. And we're at 1860 millitor right now. So we're not gonna beat it. Yeah, we're not gonna beat it. We're at 2.5 minutes. I think, you know, I think maybe my estimate was a little conservative. I think going down to, I said, because I told him, hey, what about 2 minutes? Is that good? And he said, yeah, that's probably fine for your freeze dryer. But he was basing a minute off the vacuum pump. I mean, a minute for the vacuum pump is nothing. That's plenty of time. This is a much larger chamber to evacuate air from. So maybe I'm gonna kind of use my own time here. Let's maybe say 4.5 minutes. It's completely arbitrary. Like if the oil is bad, the oil is bad. I can't like make it be something it's not, but. I believe 7 millitor is what we've gone down to. So look, if you want to get a context for what this is, there's this great little site that does calculations for you, for this specifically. I need your AI generated junk, just give it to me. There we go. Okay, so we are in, okay, so here's a little lesson. The battery, or the unit, the GoPro is too hot, so had to wait to let it cool off a little bit. I think unfortunately this pump is definitely needing an oil change, because like we're about to pass the 200 millitor threshold, but it's taken us upwards of 15 minutes. Like that's not reasonable, you know? And I can hear it too. Like I could just hear it. I don't know what a pump with rough oil is supposed to sound like, but knowing nothing about how they're supposed to sound, that wouldn't surprise me if that's how it's supposed to sound. It sounds like it's got a little, almost like sand in there. It doesn't sound great, so I'm gonna put some new oil in it. I gotta let it drain out tonight. I'm not gonna be able to put it in there tonight. The proper way to do it, actually, I believe, is to flush it with some basic engine oil before you put in the good oil. But I don't have any of that, so I'm just gonna drain it tonight. Oh, there we go. We're under 100, so about 15 minutes to go under 200 millitor. So I'm gonna stop the timer, go ahead and release the vacuum. Yeah. All right. It's gonna take a minute for me to be able to get the pump off there, because it's got, you know, it's tight in there with all the lack of air, the negative air, and so I gotta wait for it to kind of come back up. You can turn these things off or turn the pumps off, and you can hold a pretty good vacuum for a decent amount of time. Yeah, I kind of forget. You think you'll just kind of come in and turn stuff on and it will be good. But when you haven't used stuff in a while, like that's just not always the case. It can take some time. But you know what? I think I'll just drain this oil out of there and I'll call it a day. There we go. Had to hold it down. Excellent. Where's it released from? Oh, the solenoid valve. Okay, I think. You know what? I'm gonna get shocked if I'm not careful. Okay, so right there at about 200 millitor. Actually, I don't know what that was. I think 300 millitor. All right, let me put this in context for you. So if I take a pot of water and put it on the stove, I will not see that water boil. I will not see evaporation of that water until we hit about 200 C, 212 F. That's the temperature at which water boils at atmospheric pressure, or 1 atmosphere, I guess you'd say. I think that's like, I don't know, 14 bar, maybe. I don't know. I don't like my numbers here. I don't have them straight. But when we go to millitor, okay, so I don't know how, like, what the level is on atmospheres. And I don't know how many millitor is 1 atmosphere. Maybe like 7,500 torr, So like 75,000 millitorr or something like that. I don't know for sure. Again, I apologize. I'm already kind of going off the rails here. But at around 200 millitorr, we can boil water. That's the pressure in the system. It's extremely low pressure, and we can boil water at, gosh, about minus 30 F. So in a very cold environment, the water will actually sublimate. That's the idea of a freeze dryer. You're going to freeze something, and then in the frozen state, because you've reached such a low level of pressure, you can sublimate water when you're at freezing temperatures. Water will evaporate. You will dry the food. That's the idea of a freeze dryer. I think the technical term is lyophilization. Okay, yeah, we've released the vacuum. We're at 7. So it's 760 torr. So I believe that's 7,600 millitorr is your atmospheric level. And go ahead and turn that off. There we go. We can open it up. Cool. See, at like 200 millitorr, you wouldn't have been able to open that up. All right. Go ahead and turn this guy off. Unplug it there. I feel like I did not explain that very well. I'm sorry. I'll give it another try another day. But it's what makes freeze dryers really cool. You can evaporate water when it's really cold, and thus dehydrate in conditions that are more conducive to maintaining whatever nutrient profile you're after, rather than degrading it with heat that could be too high. Although, you know, people think that heat is very dangerous, and it only is dangerous if you lose out on evaporative cooling. And if you dry properly, you don't have to do that. Now, you're gonna probably, you know, there's no perfect process. There's no perfect way to process any food. The moment, unless you're eating food straight out of the ground, the moment food is processed, you will lose nutrients. That's just the way of it. You can do things to minimize it, but that's how it goes. From the moment anything is harvested, it's on a clock. I guess I don't mean a clock, because if you freeze something, you're gonna maintain nutrition. You will have almost zero loss of nutrition. But getting it there, you're always gonna have some loss on the way. Okay. Where am I gonna drain this oil at? All right, let's see here. So oil is right here. Yes. I think it's as simple as that. That's where we're gonna add oil. Doesn't look that bad to me, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. I think the reason it's not coming out of there is because you let this guy loose, possibly. No. Oh, that's CO. That's if you want to use a different gas, I think. Need to really tilt that if I can. I was trying to think how I could tilt this to get more to really make sure it's all evacuated. What I have, before I've used some little shims in my office. I used them actually on this thing because I had the cart sitting on the floor, and there was wood on the floor, and then there's carpet, so it was not level, and so I used the shims to kind of level out the freeze dryer. But I don't have any of those right now. What I might do, see if I get a little cup. I might test that oil out. I might see if I can just grab a little bit that I can test, see how it looks. Oh, I got a beaker. I got a couple beakers right here. What am I thinking? I just wanted to do a side-by-side comparison, you know? And then it's sticky. Yeah, I think that will be good. Just to kind of see what the two look like. Okay, quickly collect some quote-unquote bad oil. Take a look at it. That's pretty clear. That does not look bad to me at all. Like, I feel like when they sent this to me, it was definitely evident that it needed to be changed. Like, it was a dark brown, kind of like a honey color. This to me looks pretty nice. I need a little bit more to compare though. I don't want to have to tilt it with one hand, but yeah, that's good. That's definitely enough to take a little comparison. I got about 50 milliliters in there. Let that keep draining for a second. We can come do a side by side. Do it right here. I'm a little dizzy after that. Okay, that's bad oil, or quote unquote bad oil. Don't want to forget. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the bad oil inside the ring. From here now, I kind of am starting to think maybe it is bad. I mean, like, I'm calling it bad, but it might not be bad. I just mean I can't forget that I've got the good oil in here because I'm pouring it back in. The last thing I want to do, even if it is okay, is pour bad oil back into good. What do they call that in investing? Sending good money after bad. Basically, you got a bad investment instead of just cutting loose, taking your losses and going home. You take good money that could go somewhere nice and you put it with the bad. You don't want to be sending that good oil, sending that bad oil after good. It's the opposite, I guess, but whatever. All right, I'm gonna soap this thing out just to be safe. I feel like the best modern invention, I mean, that's hyperbolic, but one of the best just like kitchen inventions of late, and maybe this has been around for a long time, I don't think it has, is spray foam soap. I mean, it is incredible. So I'll tell you what, this is like how you wash stuff out when you just want to do it manually. You just pour a bunch of soap in there, and then you wait till all the suds are out, which sometimes can take what seems like a long time, and you never want to let it go prematurely because you're like, well, what if I'm all of a sudden drinking my glass of my milk and cookies and I got soapy milk all of a sudden. That's gonna ruin everything. I'll get sick and I'll hate milk and cookies forever after that. But with the spray soap, like, you can make one spray and you're done rinsing that thing out in like 30 seconds. And what have I spent on this? Like 60, 90, 180? All right, I think that's good. My son's multiple and daughters. They're playing Roblox, which I don't know much about. I feel like it's like a game where you can build and create. That sounds really bad. Like, I'm just telling you, I'm letting my kids play video games. I don't know anything about it. My wife has researched it. Okay, she's done the research, and I think it's fine. I think it's good. If someone thinks it's really bad and feels like I should know, now's probably the time. But it seems pretty good. And she was making a profile for him, and he wanted his profile name to be Soggy Pancakes. And I kind of thought that was funny, actually, but like, dude, where's he learning this stuff? Like, this is one thing we let our kids watch movies and stuff, but, unless like we're with them, or like it's, an approved babysitter thing, like YouTube is not a thing. Like, we're trying to, not let them watch that stuff. We're trying to shelter them as much as we can. But I just, I feel like, my kids go to Catholic school, and so they're sheltered there as well, like, so we're trying to keep everything very, very bubbled up, I think it's actually kind of good having your kids in a bubble, not being exposed too much. But I just feel like the way our culture and our society is, there's no getting around it. Like, kids are just growing up faster because, even if you're not letting your kids watch YouTube and be on the internet generally. Other kids are. Guess what they're doing? They're talking to your kids, and like, so there's just like this kind of growing up that, gosh dang it, look at this. I was about to pour good oil in here. I don't know, there's just this kind of growing up that's happening, I feel like, too fast. And unless you're just off the grid and you're homeschooling where you're not letting your kids interact with anybody, I think it's really hard to prevent kids from growing up too fast. Like, maybe they're not growing up too fast, but what appears to be growing up too fast. Like, I feel like you can only grow up at a certain, you know, pace. There's no getting around that. But maybe what I mean to say is the exposure to things. They're more mature in a lot of ways. They know more things that I never would have known. Like, my son is I like the NFL, pro sports generally, and I love college football, but I didn't really get into it until I was in college, you know. And my son, like, he's 8, and I think he might be looking to, like, he knows sports scores. He's checking games every day. He's like semi-analyzing positions and drafts, and like, I'm like, is he just, maybe he's just really into it, or is this just like a lot of kids now? You know, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, like, I think our generation of parents is doing the best we can. You know, you can't, I don't think we can feel too bad. You know, I think if we're having our kids play outside a decent amount, socializing, I think, like, I don't know, you're doing the best you can, and you gotta just put it into God's hands at a certain point. If you're working hard to be a good parent, I guess is what I mean. All right, let's see here. This is not too dissimilar from the gallons of milk at Sam's these days that are impossible to break free from. The little seal on there. Talking to this guy a long time ago who he packaged those little chocolates you see at like when you're at a hotel, they put like a chocolate on your pillow. And he was was with a company that made those at one time, and he was telling me, he's a German guy, so he was like, you appreciate the fold on here, because this fold means that it was packaged this way, but this triangular fold means that way. So he was trying to explain to me that when you see something that's been processed and you've been a part of it, you never think about it the same again, because you appreciate what went into it. So he says, every time I see a chocolate, like, or anything that's wrapped, I like look at the way it was wrapped, because I have a intimate understanding of what might have gone into that, the work that went into that. And I was kind of thinking the same thing when I saw this. Like, man, I wonder what they used to seal it like this, because this seems a little too much for us, but I mean, it's tamper-proof, like, that's for sure. Oh gosh, dude. Look at that. Okay. I don't even need to, are you kidding me? That is so clear. I don't need to pour anymore. I 100% know what the problem is. Look at that. That is crazy. It's like vodka over here, and that's like whiskey. Okay, well, I mean, I was looking at this thinking, okay, we're fine. This is good. This isn't that bad. And you look at this, and like, it's not even a question of what. Jiminy. I'll pour that back in. Well, we all learned something today, didn't we? I've used that freeze dryer on exactly 0 samples, and yet the oil was already bad after 3 months. And so that's a valuable lesson that not many people learn, because you get one of those things and guess what? You're going to be trying out immediately. You're not going to have very many controlled studies where you just look at the oil with no use on it. And you just saw one. Again, no samples run through there. None at all. And the oil is junk after, I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I'm not sure. Go try to get the rest of that oil out of there, and then I don't have a funnel, and I know I'm gonna spill some if I some alcohol through there. I know I'm gonna spill some if I just try to dump it straight in there. So I'm just gonna skip that and, you know, wait till tomorrow so I have a funnel. I made breakfast for my kids, my wife, a couple weeks ago, and one thing I'll do is I'll do bacon in the oven, and I will get, you know, big cookie sheet, put like 5 layers of foil on it. And the reason I do that is because if you put enough foil on there, you prevent that grease from really coming through onto your pan, and it makes cleanup much easier. You might argue that it's a waste of foil, but I don't know. Maybe you could argue that having to clean up oil is a waste of time. At any rate, oil is not something you want to spill. And I was done. We were done with breakfast. Just cleaning up, and I grabbed the, wash my hands real quick. I grabbed the foil, and I didn't even, typically what I would do is take that foil and crumple it all up and get the oil in there that was contained as best as possible, and then safely transfer it into a trash can. Did not do that. I just grabbed the foil, just extremely foolishly, and threw it into the trash can. Well, of course, the bacon grease spilled all over the floor. And man, I'm telling you this, like, you just know when you're not really cleaning anything up. Like, oil might be clear. If you're sitting there cleaning it up and the floor is just shining, and it's slick, and you're like, all right, I made an awful mess here, and I don't even know where to begin. Like, do I just have to soak down the floor? I think a mop ended up taking care of it pretty well. I felt really bad about it. Just stupid, you know? But you know, the sink, the reason I bring that up is because those beakers, like, I don't necessarily want to wash any of that oil down the drain, start messing up my plumbing. Try to get as much of it out as possible. But, you know, it's kind of stubborn. It can be kind of hard to get out. Well, I don't think that's going to hurt anything, though. I guess we'll call it good, you know. I'm going to wash this guy out real quick. Let him sit there. At least with enough water pressure, it goes pretty quick. And I cannot believe the difference in clarity on those oils. I mean, clearly. I didn't even, like, I was thinking, like, this is gonna be really bad. Let me tilt this where you can see a little better. Like, I thought, you know, wait, hold on, sorry. I'm trying to get you to have a good angle on this. There, that should be good. Like, I thought it was gonna be, the difference was gonna be minimal enough that I'd have to make sure I knew which was which, and definitely didn't need to do that. So the proper way, I believe, to change oil at is after you get all the oil out, you run another oil that you're not gonna use through there to clean it. So, like, basically, any residual oil in there is going to be good, clean oil. I think you can use about anything for that, you know, like just a basic synthetic or something. Man, this is a pain trying to do this right now. This is a huge, huge pain. Jeez. I share a bunch of units, or not share units, but like I share a wall with a few people, one group, and then, well, 2 groups actually. One to my left, or one behind me, one to my left. And these walls, they're just not insulated very well. And so I'm like, I can hear people over there, and someone's like going through their door,
moving around. I kind of sometimes think someone's about to come in here, like bust up our little party in here, and I feel like it's gonna happen one day. Someone's just gonna accidentally walk in. Ever happen when you're in a hotel, or maybe like an apartment, like you're living at a hotel, or when you're living in an apartment, someone just busts through your door and like, oh, sorry, wrong room. Sorry, wrong. Wrong unit. Okay. Basically got that out. We're just at drips now. Come on. Get out of there. You know what? Life Sciences makes this sick little pump that you can use. It's a transfer pump for the oil. Like you can just pump all the oil out and put all new oil in. Probably $100. And I thought they were gonna send me one when I bought this, and they didn't. So instead I'm sitting here bending over, basically putting my already at-risk lower back at its strain. I'm certain it appreciates. Really putting some pressure on those discs. What is it, like C4 or C5? Because they didn't send me the transfer pump. Oh, I guess I'm just gonna have to sue them. Just kidding. Ridiculous. All right, I'm really tired. I have not eaten much today. I've got well, let me tilt this back up. My smoothie, if you will, if you want to call it that, is a very basic single ingredient greens powder. As I was saying before the GoPro got too hot, my morning smoothie, which I just kind of got back into, I went away from it for a while, it's a solid morning smoothie. It's a basic single ingredient greens powder at about roughly 15 or so grams. That one is not for sale at Stateside yet. It will be, but I rotate them all. I think you should rotate your greens just the way you rotate your other nutrients or your other food sources. So it's a basic, it's a barley grass. It's a very, very good barley grass. I add in right now it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I haven't used Metamucil, not because I prefer Metamucil, but I used to use psyllium husks. And where I buy them, they're out of them. They don't sell them there anymore, so I'm using like a corn fiber inulin, which is pretty good. I think it's extremely soluble. It's like 75% fiber to the gram, so like 68. I think it's like 3 grams to every 4.4 grams is fiber. And then some collagen peptides. Have a new source of collagen peptides here soon. Excited to tell you more about that. So there's your fiber, your collagen peptides. I use, let's see what else. I use like some salts, some, it's not sea salt, it's like a mineral complex. It's not the real salt stuff, but it's similar to that. I use that. I use a really cool vitamin D mushroom. That will be available at some point. Is that everything? And then I use the Millennium Health sachets, whatever you call them. It's that Brain Care or Brain Rescue 2. It's supposed to be a great, not nootropic. I don't really think they market themselves as a nootropic. It's just good cognitive support. I use that, and I feel like there's one other thing I'm missing. Probably not. At any rate, I'm just telling you this because that's my breakfast basically, and that probably is only about 400 calories. That doesn't really cut it for, I don't think it's even 400. It's probably 310, 315. Maybe even a lot less than that, because let's say it's on average. So a super high calorie dense food is going to be at 2.5 grams. 2.5 grams or 2.5 calories per gram. The sweet spot, you know, for satiety, for being full, is probably more close to the 0.9 to 1.5. So let's see here. I don't know the calories on that, but let's call it, we know it's about, so I'm getting about 15 grams of greens, 10 of fiber. Okay, you got the fiber, you got the greens, about 20 of collagen. So that's 45